all the people that we're going to look at for the rest of today's lecture and who produce the primary sources that you're going to read tomorrow, all take place or all live in an area known as Mesopotamia. And you know from the crash course video that Meso means between and Potomoi means rivers. So this is an area in the Middle East, modern day Iraq, largely between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. And that we call this area Mesopotamia should give us an idea that the history and culture of this region is intimately linked to those rivers. The earliest communities or civilizations who developed there sprang up in the north, but rainfall was pretty unpredictable there. So by about 5000 BC, communities had spread south into what are known as alluvial plains, areas where rivers flood, and when they flood, they deposit really rich, fertile soil on the riverbanks, which makes growing crops a lot easier. So then we get the development, about 5000 BC or so, of small communities, maybe 100, 200 people. Rain's still unpredictable, so these folks need irrigation, and they end up starting to dig canals to be able to provide regular water for crops. That rich soil and the development of canals leads to urbanization, means people settle down, they've got towns and cities, and with settlement and surplus food, we get bigger and bigger cities, which means that we've got an increase in population, which means there's a division of labor, means you need organization and cooperation and leadership and eventually kingship. And we see with all these things tied inherently to the production of cereal crops, the development of social classes, normally according to who had access to the best soil, the richest soil that was closest to the canals. And over generations, the divides between those who are successful and those who aren't get bigger and bigger. There's cooperation that's required, especially for digging canals, and the people who are in charge of that cooperation often assume types of political leadership. There's a division of labor because there's a surplus of food, which means that not everybody is a farmer, but instead you get the development of craftspeople and laborers and merchants and government officials. We've already seen on the previous slide that people in Mesopotamia build ziggurats that house priests. Those priests are representative of gods, and especially early on, these priests control religious life, but also the economy, land ownership, trade. And if we want to step back and think about some of the major advancements of ancient Mesopotamia, we can list at least a couple. One is agriculture, not hunting and gathering, becomes the primary method of subsistence. They start using plows, not like we see around Franklin County, but small little scratch plows that allow them to plant seeds with more ease. By about 3000 BC, there are specialized crafts and industries. They've got thrown ceramic pots. They're learning how to forge metals. They're learning how to develop textiles, make cloth. And lots of careful planning and building goes into towns, cities, temples, and ziggurats. So I think that's a good way to walk away from this, and we want to look into some more of the specific, maybe intellectual developments that allow these folks to become successful.